And welcome to another Talent It Like It Is. My name is Jade Alberts, the founder of Peer Guidance, and I am live from Platform. We are having a Calgary Innovation Collision day here where we're meeting and talking about all the great things going on in our ecosystem. So if the internet isn't the best here, I apologize for that ahead of time, but you know what? It's not going to take away from the two great guests that we have today, Danielle and Chelsea from the 51 and the Movement 51. How are you today?
Doing well, thanks. Thank you for having us. We're excited to have a chance to chat with you.
Oh, I'm so excited. And I don't want to say that Alice kind of gave me heck, but she goes, how come you haven't had the 51 on yet? And I was like, you are 100% right. Why haven't I had the 51? Especially during October, November, when I brought nothing but female founders on, and I just bloop right over my head. I don't know what happened. So, but we're here now, and we get to talk about all the great things that you guys are doing in the ecosystem, supporting founders, supporting female founders, investing in them, educating them. So why don't we start off with how the 51 began?
Yeah, I'll start with that. Neither of us were at the 51 when it started, but I'll give you a bit of the backstory. So it started with Judy Fairburn, Shelley Kuipers, Alice Reimer. I think a lot of people in the ecosystem know all those names. These our co-founders of the 51 have scaled and sold businesses, ran tech incubators, founded family offices, and venture funds. But really through their own personal experiences found that, often they were one of the only few women in the room, and the 51 started as a way to really democratize investing for women into women-led businesses. It started way back when as an idea, and then evolved from, I think, some of the initial investments we made as an SPV before our fund was set up was really in, I believe, Shelley's room with a founder pitching on a coffee table, or maybe on her kitchen island, one of those two stories. So really gathering around the network of community and tapping into that support from, not just the three co-founders, but the broader network, and how can we best support those founders by surrounding them with any kind of help and support that they need. And fast forward today, now the 51 has 3 venture funds. So where I sit is on the sector agnostic funds, Fund 1 and Fund 2. We also are fundraising for a food and ag tech fund. And then I'll let Danielle share a bit more about Movement 51.
Perfect.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks so much, Chelsea. So Movement 51 really kind of began with that same grassroots where, as Judy, Shelley, and Alice were raising the funds and starting to invest, one thing that they noticed was, specifically kind of a gap in terms of that financial acumen when it comes to early stage investing for women and gender diverse people. And so they thought, what a great opportunity to kind of set up an education platform that could serve that market. And so Movement 51 was really born about a year and a half ago, so still fairly new, to really kind of serve women and gender diverse people that are looking to either start their investing career or continue their investing career, or potentially raise capital. And so we have these 2 programs that we run. One is the Financial Feminism Investing Lab, and that's in partnership with the Executive Education arm at the University of Calgary. And so it's a 5-week program that's aimed at early stage investors, either accredited or non-accredited, that are really interested in learning a little bit more about the mechanics. And so, how do I think about my own investment thesis? Or how do I think about negotiating terms on a term sheet? How do I think about, the pro forma cap table, and what are some of the outcomes that might happen there? And then on the flip side, we also have our founders program, and that's actually focused on female founders that are looking to raise venture in the next 6 months. And so really kind of at that early pre-stage, but really kind of goes through all of the mechanisms that you would need as a potential founder to feel comfortable and ready to kind of go into that capital landscape.
I think education is such an important part of, we do it at TNT. We had a little conversation about it. We talked about it yesterday with our meeting with some NDP MLAs. there's so many variables when it comes to when it comes to being an investor or understanding, never mind running the business or being a founder. So what type of things are you guys are teaching through this class? And I love that you're partnered with the UFC, because whether it be UFC, MRU, Bow Valley, we're such a collaborative ecosystem, and that's great to hear.
Yeah, so in the Investor Lab specifically, what we really look to teach is the different types of investing journeys you can take. So, if you're an accredited investor and you maybe want to invest $5 to $10 to maybe $20,000, what does that kind of path look like? Maybe if you're not an accredited investor, how can you also get involved through different vehicles like Front Funder? Or if you don't really want to invest your money but are thinking about investing time, how potentially could you look at advising for equity in the business? And so we'll go through, what that venture life cycle is. A lot of people don't really know, and we were talking about this earlier, Jade. When you make an investment as an angel, it's like about a 9-year holding period. And so it is quite a while. So we really kind of go through the reality of investing and what it looks like, all through that kind of gendered lens as well. So, what are some of the barriers and biases that women face as investors? And then also as entrepreneurs. And so we'll go through that, but then with actually digging into the real application of, okay, here is a SAFE, here is a convertible note. What are the key terms on each? How are they different? What are the pros and the cons? And if you were hypothetically to invest in a company with a SAFE, what does that actually look like? How does that affect the cap table? So it really kind of digs into those mechanisms that you really need as an early stage investor to kind of get involved. And so that's really kind of the focus in the Investor Lab. And we've gotten early support actually from Opportunity Calgary Investment Fund, as well as Prairies Can, to really kind of, grow this across Canada, which has been fantastic. So over the next 3 years, we're looking to train about 560 women. And so we're about, I think, 170 now, which is really exciting. So yeah, it's going well.
I would just add to that on like our venture side too. We have phenomenal investors. Some of them went through the lab and then came to us, others from other places too. But really we try to focus on like, how do we demystify venture? What does it really mean when you're making those investments? And I think a lot of times, sometimes we see women saying like, oh, like this might be a dumb question. And like, they're never dumb questions. They're always so smart. So I think having that open space where people can learn without that judgment too.
No, that's so important. I mean, if there was dumb questions, that's all I ask. So I'm always good on that end, right? But Danielle, you brought a little interesting tidbit up there, and maybe Chelsea, you can expand on this on the venture side. But what sort of differences do you think that there are between female investors and male investors? Like if you're, training them and looking at them, I think of the startup TNT, and I believe I should have got the numbers before, but at one point we were at 42% of female founded or co-founded companies that we invest in. So maybe we'll talk about the entrepreneurs after, but, maybe share, some of the different concerns that you see. And again, you guys do such a fantastic job. You have so many female investors. We have a hard time recruiting female investors, but we know that they're looked after. They're investing in great companies, and the 51 is crushing it, and we love that. So maybe share some of the differences of concerns.
I'm trying to think what some of them. I think in general, when anybody's investing, male, female, doesn't matter. Like you're looking for it to be a good opportunity, right? And it's in something that you really care about. So maybe I think sometimes that comes down to, are women looking at a longer term view potentially of the world? Do they want to have that higher like social impact with their investment potentially? Or is it important to them like who's on the board? Is there that diversity within the team that's going to support that performance?
I think adding on that point, Chelsea, like one thing, and this was really like interesting when I was doing a lecture at the University of Calgary, like talking about tech and is like and looking for investment. And like one of the things that the professor was mentioning is that the original idea of like the Roomba, or like that little thing that goes around your house and collects all of the dust or whatnot. When she went to pitch that, the pushback she got was like, oh, well, that's not a real market. And then it's like, okay, well, and like the person she was pitching to is a male. And so it was like, obviously he hadn't run into that challenge, or he hadn't actually been doing that. And so it's kind of the same thing we almost saw with Nick's right now recently, where it's like, always getting that pushback where it's like, oh, this is just like a niche market. It's just like lifestyle. And then she just sold her stake in the company for about 500 million. And I think the interesting difference is women kind of bring that lens of, different products. So if you're looking at, like, I know they kind of call it femtech, but if you're looking at these different types of products that are serving women, you understand it a little bit more, and you can really know what that is. Whereas versus if it's a certain product that might be serving a different demographic, if you know it really well, then you want to invest in it. So I think there's really cool opportunity there when women and men invest together to like share those different perspectives and those different viewpoints. And so those are just some of the differences that I've kind of seen in terms of like really looking at a market and looking at a problem. Because if you don't have the problem, it's hard for you to identify with it, like the iRoomba robot. But I think that those are some things that I've seen.
Yeah, to expand on that in like the health tech space too, any companies that I've met recently, maybe in the perimenopause space, trying to work on that solution, you hear from the founders that, other investors think maybe this isn't a big enough market where every single woman will go through this at some point in their lives, right? So the market is not small, but sometimes, it's how you perceive it, right?
Oh, no, absolutely. And I think we had, on that market, right? Like someone like a Danica Kelly that come through with Minoritive, right? I mean, you're pitching to, to a bunch of men, right? That are basically, especially at Startup TNT. Again, we try to attract more female investors, but when you're out there, and again, and I can't speak for any other investors, but I know when she was coming through, and we've got 2 teenage daughters and my wife, and I was like, hey, what do you think of this, right? I got all different types of feedback that I cannot relate to, and I have no freaking idea, right? I mean, emotionally, I can be there for them or and help them and things like that, but when it comes to especially getting the feedback and would you use it, would you have it, it's such an eye opener when I'm able to rely on even my family when we're investing in a company. And what about the entrepreneurs? And you said it's different when you use that example of taking something that like the mobile little vacuum thing. Do they have similar struggles? Like I guess I want to kind of dive into that a little more, because at TNT, my experiences even before I joined TNT and doing the investing that we did, I never look at I just look at the company, right? I have to believe in the founder, and you talk about your investor thesis. Founder is number one for me. I really got to believe in this person, and if I do, and it seems like TNT kind of follows that trend. So is there anything that support, or is there anything else we need to do as an ecosystem to support, let's call it the female founder a little more?
I would say one is that everybody can do personally is like just try to check your bias whenever you can. In the process of maybe how you're getting founders in front of you to, how are you screening those founders? Just like a couple examples that, in the last few months, I've heard founders say that like, oh, one of them, this example was extreme, but one founder actually changed her name to Alex, so she would have a higher response rate from VCs. And she did, just by like changing that one thing. So I would say maybe like as an investor, are you looking at only warm intros, and maybe your introductions come from people that look like you in your space, or are you open to, a cold email into your firm too? I think, myself included, everybody has bias. So the more we can do to reduce that and recognize it will be important. And then within a firm too, we know that in a venture firm, the number of female partners is pretty low. And obviously those are the people that are making some of those final investment decisions. And it's been proven that venture firms that have at least one female founder generate more profitable exit faster. So just really looking at each individual firm's management too. Is there potential way to mentor other women in your firm to get to that partner stage?
Danielle, anything to add to that?
No, I think you covered it well, Chelsea.
Well, I hope that stat that you put out there is correct, because if we've invested in 42 female founded companies, then I'm gonna hold you to that, Danielle or Chelsea. And as a guy who has a girl's name, I can relate to that. It works. Everyone asks for Mrs. Albert, so that's just
That's awesome.
kind of the way it goes on that with names. But all joking aside, it's actually pretty sad that a founder has to change her name, just to put Alex on there to get meetings. And I sure hope that that changes, and it's not, because whatever it is, like, as I said, a great company and a great idea can come from anybody, and anywhere, anytime, any place. Like, it's, and it's sad. And that's why I think it's why you guys and, the 51 and what you do are looked at as ecosystem leaders across North America. I mean, we'll all be talking to firms or funds or things, and like, yeah, we want to meet the 51. Can you introduce me to the 51? I want to, like, it's just, kudos for what you guys are doing, continue to doing, and moving forward on promoting not only entrepreneurs but female entrepreneurs in our ecosystems. So thank you. And then now the education side of it is even going to be better. So why don't we talk a little bit about what's next? So maybe we'll start with the M51, Danielle. And so what's kind of the vision for that, maybe short term, long term, and in the far future?
I love that question. So what do we want to be when we grow up? So I would say short term, it's continuing to deliver on the programs that we have, and definitely be inclusive of different groups and different individuals, no matter kind of where they are in Canada. And I would say in terms of the next term, we're really starting to focus nationally. So we've had some exciting funding come in actually from TD National Bank, and two other ones where I'm not allowed to talk about them yet, to really support our founders program. I know that little teaser, but to support our founders program nationally, which is something that's really exciting. And so it's really kind of branching out of, we're founded in Calgary and Alberta, but really kind of branching across Canada and across North America. And so I think that's some really exciting things that are starting to happen. And then really kind of long term, it would be great. And like, this is kind of my aspirations with Movement 51, is really kind of changing, the narrative of early stage investing. And like you were mentioning, Jade, where it's like, not a lot of women kind of come to start up TNT. So how do we kind of change that narrative where you actually don't need any sort of gendered programming or education platforms, because actually it's all accessible and it's all inclusive, and people feel very comfortable kind of wherever they are to kind of get involved in the process. And so that, I think, as we look to, I think it's 2030 or 2035, 65% of capital that is going to be held in Canada is going to be held by women, which is really exciting. And so how do we actually change that for generations to come and empower, like if it's mothers or husbands or grandmas or aunts or uncles, to really kind of empower those next generations to come. So it's a very lofty vision, but that's definitely where I see things going for Movement 51, and just kind of becoming that blueprint for where people kind of seek either early stage investing information or if you're looking to raise capital as a founder.
No, I love that. And I think that's, I guess we maybe use the term investing agnostic, right? It doesn't matter. I mean, so many, like we talked about Stephanie before, and Joanna, right? Very smart, very good investors that have invested in both. And I mean, if somebody wants to get their money into the ecosystem, they should be able to do it for, through however they want to do it. If it's giving it to a fund like Sprout or Metiquity, or wanting to get maybe a little more involved and come in and dive in like the 51 or TNT. I mean, everyone's here to, for the right reason, to support our ecosystem. So I love that. I mean, it's, and we already all work together so very well as funds, as I said, I'm sitting here and there's, 100 people within our ecosystem that are all here, all trying to help, all trying to move, the tech ecosystem forward. So I love that comment. And Chelsea, what about the 51 and the fund? I know that you guys have had some fun. Let's talk a little bit about what you've invested and where the new fund is going.
Yeah, so Fund 1, we've invested in 22 companies to date. If we include, say, our previous SPV investments, we have a total of 29 investments. And the 51's activated now over 2 million capital in those 29 ventures, or sorry, 20 million capital in those ventures, which is phenomenal. But obviously, we want to do more, and we see amazing founders all the time. So we want to have more funds to support them. So we're in fundraising mode for Fund 2. So we can start investing in new amazing founders. We had our first close there in December. So more to come, but if somebody is interested in investing in that, please do reach out to us. And then we're also fundraising for a food and ag tech fund. So that's a dedicated fund, obviously focused just in food and ag tech. And we have Allison Sundstrom being a GP there with Shelley and Judy. So lots of exciting things to come on the fundraising side. Where I sit really is, we're digging back into our pipeline of awesome founders, trying to figure out how Fund 2 is going to look and what deals we're excited to get in on. So lots coming up this quarter, and we can start investing in new names again.
Oh, I mean, that's great to hear. And $20 million, I mean, that's an impressive number. I mean, I absolutely love that. And again, I mean, I pulled a rookie mistake here. I forgot to mention at the beginning. I mean, if anybody wants to find any more information about the 51, just click on the comment section. The link is there. Startup TNT is having 3 summits: an ag tech, a clean tech, and a life science. So click on Startup TNT if you're an investor, or if you're a company looking to raise capital. Click on that. And of course, the last plug is the Alberta Technology Symposium is going to be April 26th and 27th here in Calgary. So all those links, you can find out more information, all of them in the comments section. So, I mean, on the, on that, I just want to touch a little bit more on the fund, because I think I think people don't realize how important the 51 is in our ecosystem and driving and what we do. So what type of investor are you looking for, and where are you finding them, and how are you making sure that they understand what's going on in our ecosystem? I mean, I think this will be the last question, and I know education is going to be a big part of that with the M51, but how are you, and where are you looking for? And if somebody is watching this now, they can slap. I know Elizabeth, thanks for the question in there, or the comment anyway. But if somebody wants to, seeing this, what are you looking for someone to come and be an investor?
Yeah, so our investors come in really all shapes and forms. Some people have been investing for a long time, and this venture investing is not new to them. Maybe they've built and exited tech businesses. We have a lot of those really amazing advisors, say, on our GP advisory committee. To the other extreme, where maybe this is their first time investing in venture, and they want to commit to a smaller amount over 3 years. And we're looking for anyone. So you have to be accredited investor, but that can mean so many different shapes and forms. So our previous investors, we've got doctors, lawyers, teachers, archaeologists, executives. Like, it does. Any background can learn how to be an investor, really. So we're open to any and all conversations there, but ultimately somebody that's excited to invest in something they believe in, and in trying to be part of shaping the world they want to see. And a big part of that is believing and backing in women founders. I would say the one thing I would add is we've got like 90% women capital, which is unheard of investor, but we need more male champions too. So any males that are interested in investing too, like that's something we're for sure open and excited about.
I love it. Anything to add, Danielle?
No, I think that you hit that well, Chelsea. I think even too on the food and ag tech fund, something that's unique there is there's actually institutional investment that's coming in, and they want the community to come along with that institutional money. And so that's kind of one of the first times we're seeing this in a fund where you have like a large institutional investor coming in But then as an LP, you actually have the opportunity to invest in the fund as well. So it's really about activating the community and really kind of democratizing that access to finance. So it's really exciting times if you are an early stage investor or are looking to invest, because there's lots of these opportunities that are coming up, kind of similar to what you were saying, Jade, is there's a lot going on in the market and we're all working together, which is really exciting. And so if you do want to get involved at any point, just always reach out. I think it can feel like quite a barrier. And like Chelsea was saying, like you might feel like you have a silly question, but I think everyone starts somewhere. Like we were all beginners at some point, and this is like a really silly example, but I just started swimming lessons again last week, and I don't think I've done that since I was a child. And you go out to the pool and everyone else doesn't know each other, and we're all adults now. But it's okay to be a beginner, and it's exciting, and be curious about the world around you and like what's actually happening. And it's a very accepting and inviting community. And so any one of the ecosystem players or funds are all good to connect with on that point. I can swim, by the way. I can swim, but I want to.
Oh, okay, good. I was going to say, well, I mean, I love swimming. I try and swim twice a week, and I've swam Escape from Alcatraz. So if maybe that's a goal for you, is we'll go down there with our families and we'll have a nice evening and then swim Escape from Alcatraz. So put that in as maybe a BHAG goal for yourself. But I think, Chelsea, that one point that you brought up is people don't understand, and people don't realize that they can be an angel investor and what accreditation means. We won't get into that, but like you said, a teacher, a construction worker, right? If you're an accredited investor, you can come and learn about it, and you just don't have to play the stock market or do different things. You can invest in great companies in your community that you can watch grow and thrive and be part of. And I can tell you, as an investor, that's probably the most fun thing for me, is being able to sit down or run into the founder one day at a coffee shop or whatever it is, right? And they're like, oh, what's going on? Oh yeah, blah 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 blah, right? You're like it gives you, I mean, you can see the excitement and passion on my face when I'm saying that, because it puts a big smile on my face on being part of something local.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big thing for me. And I'm always sad when these conversations are coming to an end, but unfortunately they all have to. And again, thank you so much, Time, for coming on, sharing your story about the Movement 51, the 51. And again, please click on the link, anybody that's watching, and you can go directly to their website for more information. But why don't we start with you, Chelsea? If you had one piece of advice for a small business entrepreneur startup, what would that be?
I think don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Get to know the ecosystem. There's so many people out there willing to lend a hand, to support with their time, with their money too, with introductions. So just make sure you ask people for what you're looking for and what you need, and continue to build those relationships, because they'll always grow, and you never know where something will lead.
I love it. And Danielle?
Yeah, I think I would gear mine towards any sort of maybe early stage investor. If you haven't invested before, if you're accredited or non-accredited, there's so many ways to get involved. And sometimes, I think that there is this notion that you have to know everything and understand everything before you can get involved. And that's definitely not the case. And so in this instance, I think it's okay to leap before you look, register, sign up for that event, if it's at Platform, or if it's with the 51 or Startup TNT, and, just kind of immerse yourself. And it's okay to be uncomfortable. And I think that uncomfort can really kind of help challenge you and help you to kind of grow as well. So kind of jumping in with both feet.
No, I love that, and I totally agree. Right, networking is such an important part, and even Startup TNT. If you just kind of want to come around and just have a small little quiet chinwag every Thursday night, right? You can go to we moved it. Where the heck is it? I forget, but we moved it. Inner City Brewing, that's where it is. So come down and you'll meet, lots of people show up there, maybe 10 to 15. But if you have any questions and you want to talk to actually someone in person, Neil over there, Adrian might be there, I might be there. Other investors will be there. And again, it's all about education and making sure that you feel comfortable where you want to invest your money, and you feel that that you feel comfortable with it. And if you want to diversify into angel investing, that's perfect. We have a very, very strong ecosystem here for it. But before I go, I'd like just to give you guys, there's been a little bit of a conversation going on about accreditation in the LinkedIn chat. So I tagged you. You guys can maybe go respond to it, talk to it. We can't really get to it here, but those people, will probably check out the 51. So again, I really appreciate you taking out the time of your day to share your vision, to share what's going on. And thank you for everything that you do promoting, startups, female founders, and even, getting males and whoever it is to invest in the fund. I think it's awesome. I'm big fans of what you guys are doing and your movement. So thank you again. And I really appreciate your time today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. So enjoy the rest of the day. And, I look forward to, we'll probably run into you here, I'm sure, in the next few weeks.
Yeah, most definitely.
Exactly. All right. Goodbye, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll talk soon.